Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The April 9th meeting of the Palm Springs Planning Commission is now in session. Report of posting of agenda, please, Mr. Evans.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The agenda was posted here on Friday in accordance with state and local procedures.
Thank you. First item is approval of minutes. First for the meeting of February 11th. And I'm showing Mr. Schoenberger that you were absent that day.
That's correct, and I'll abstain.
Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Morantz, second by Mr. Grinch. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Second, we have the...
With one abstention.
With one abstention. Thank you very much. We have the minutes of the meeting of February 26th, and I'm showing Mr. Grinch was absent that day, so you'll abstain?
I'll abstain if I was absent.
I'll move approval of those minutes.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Schoenberger. I'm sorry, who is the second? Okay, then Ms. Conrad. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carries 4-0 with one abstention. Got it right this time.
Something funny.
Excuse me, it's now time for public comments. Anybody in the audience wishing to address the Commission on Planning Issues in the City of Palm Springs may come forward at this time. If you are here on an agenda item, we would prefer that you hold your comments until that item is called. However, you may come forward if you wish to and speak to us now. Seeing none, we'll close public comments. Our public hearings are calendared and noticed for 2 o'clock, and we have to wait until that time before we commence. So we'll move down to Mr. Matthews. Welcome.
Way to go.
Number 5, architectural approval, case 5.0926, application by Regal Homes, Inc. for an amendment to Plan Development District 278 in order to eliminate the requirement for utility PD 278 undergrounding for 4 single-family residential homes located at 3101 North Indian Canyon Drive. Staff report, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what we're bringing back to you is an issue relative to clarification of the undergrounding of utility requirement for this very small project. After taking a look at the actual undergrounding requirement, the cost thereof, planning and engineering staff are looking at a way to try to make it reasonably affordable for the development. And Jing Yu will give you an update, and we'll try to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Just to give you a bit of an overview about what happened before, this project was approved in December 2002. The applicant actually, as soon as he got his conditions, he attempted to get a hold of Southern California Edison. However, the representative was unable to get out there until really just this past March. So at that time, the project was already under construction, building permits had been issued, and then we handed out to you today basically the cost evaluation that the applicant received from the Edison representative. And basically, I got the map up here that shows where all the poles are located right now, and these are the photos here to help you out. Basically, the 3 poles in question are these black dots here in the highlight, and then there's that one pole across Indian Canyon. The way the city's policy reads is that the developer has to underground to the next offsite utility pole. So essentially between here to here. And it shows on this photo, this pole represents this one, this second one is here, and this pole is this one over here. On the sheet it shows that if the developer was required to underground from this pole to this pole, it'd be a cost of about $85,000 spread over 4 homes. It's not a very big project. And then in addition, if he had to bore under Indian Canyon Drive, instead of ripping up the pavement, you'd add another $15,000 to that. The developer is willing, the request he's making today is to underground from this offsite pole to this pole. And he's willing to do that. So essentially this pole would be undergrounded, and this would remain and that would remain. And that is his request today. That concludes my staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of staff? Is there anybody in the audience who would like to address us on this matter?
Jim Lentz, Regal Homes, and I'm available for questions. Comments?
Any questions of the applicant? None at this time. There may be some shortly.
Okay.
Let's see. Mr. Schoenberger?
Doug, if we don't get these utilities undergrounded by this developer now, how do we ever get them?
To come back in and fix the utilities right along Indian Canyon, we would have to do a major undergrounding project anyway. Typically, we do things like that with what's called Rule 20A monies that all of us pay into a fund that's basically held by Southern California Edison for undergrounding utilities. And that's what we've done on on Ramon Road, El Cielo, East Palm Canyon Drive. For many years, we had a rule of thumb that if on a residential project the undergrounding distance was under 600 feet, we would defer it to covenant. The reality is once you sell residential real estate, you probably couldn't call the covenant successfully. The way the laws are written, it's very hard to call a covenant and ask somebody to participate in an undergrounding district if it's residential property. So instead of coming in and saying, well, it's such a short run, we don't think we should do it at all, we think it's a good compromise to get rid of the run along the north property line. The back property line run, to really try to fix that, you got to go in and work on the whole neighborhood. So we think it's a reasonable compromise, and for a small project like this, 80-some thousand to almost 100,000 is a pretty big expense. So we're comfortable with this, and our engineering staff has been working with them also.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr.
I have a
Matthews.
question for either you or the applicant. The two remaining poles, the houses, the drops to the house, those will be undergrounded?
The service to the new homes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll basically do a drop by the street, back in that back property line, and then everything to the
They
property.
can run it down the pole and then to the house?
It's all
however, yeah.
underground.
All right.
Yes, Ms. Conrad.
What is the rationale behind not dropping both of the poles, accepting only the one that's on Indian Canyon?
1 second.
You have to go 600 yards across them.
The next pole to the west is on a rear property line condition. You rarely, if ever, underground utilities in yards. If we were to do an undergrounding project there, we would work with the property owners when that vacant property develops and the utility line comes out to the street, and you service from the street back as opposed to the rear property lines. The other problem you get into, you may have some overhead service off of that line. So it gets complicated to do it, and typically you want to move those utility lines when they're undergrounded out to the public streets. And that's why the rear property line conditions are always the most difficult to fix.
I guess the point of my question is that I don't want to create a situation that'll never get solved if we don't do it now.
Yeah.
And
On
that's
that-
going to be the way it is.
The one on Indian Canyon, I think we've got enough utilities in there eventually. We'd probably come back in and do a Rule 20A type project. I can't tell you when in the future, but there's enough utility lines up there. One pole's not going to make an aesthetic difference. On that rear property line condition where you've got back-to-back lots, those are the most difficult to underground because basically the undergrounding project is twofold. You take the line out of the rear yards, and you have to put two lines underground on each side. And one of the challenges in the future will be some decision-making as to whether or not we'll ever get those undergrounded. At $200 to $300 to $400 a linear foot, if you've got to trench it twice, very difficult to hang that condition on any one developer.
Would it be reasonable to defer that second pole to covenant, even if you're not that optimistic that we could ever enforce it? Would it be worth it to just put it on the books for future help with problem solving?
I don't think it will help with problem solving. There's specific statutes that talk about subdivided residential real estate, and the only way you can solve it is you have to do an assessment district in all likelihood, and you can't take away somebody's right to vote in the future, and that's essentially what the covenant would try to say. We just don't think it would be successful.
Doug, I have one quick question. I'm assuming the neighboring property owners have been asked whether they would want to contribute to this, that would be to some advantage to them aesthetically to remove the poles from the back? Has that been explored?
We've not done that, and be candid with you, Mr. Chairman, when we've asked developers to do that, we haven't had virtually any takers at the cost. We've had whole neighborhoods come in and say, we want to do undergrounding districts, we want to, take all the utilities down in the Araby neighborhood, and, we kind of tell them how expensive it is, and they say we still want to do it, and we get the engineer's estimate, we put it in writing, we have a neighborhood meeting, and we usually have 1 or 2 proponents, and 30 people leave the room saying, well, we can't afford that. It's very expensive when you start talking about several $100s a linear foot. So we haven't had much success in that arena.
Motions, Mr. Matthews?
Chairman, I'd move that on case 50926, that on the utility undergrounding for PD 278 be eliminated, and the substitute language compromise that the staff came up with just on the rear of the lots
The
be
one pole.
substituted on one pole.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Matthews, second by Mr. Granch. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-1.
No.
She said it loudly, I heard her. Next is item number 6, sign program application by John Westman for sign program amendment for the sign program for Plaza del Sol located at 155 South Palm Canyon Drive. This was, we've got a note here that this is to be continued to the April 23rd meeting. Is that at the request of the applicant, Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir, the applicant is aware. It's actually at the request of staff. We need to take that item to design review, and we missed Monday's agenda, so.
We'll entertain a motion then to continue the meeting to
Mr.
April
Chairman,
23rd.
I'd move that we continue that item to the April 23rd meeting.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Matthews, second by Mr. Schoenberger. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed, say no.
I'll be abstaining on it. I think it's 1555, isn't it?
It is within 500 feet of property that you own, Commissioner
Thank you.
Morantz.
All
I
right.
didn't have a chance to get up and leave, so.
Thanks for the clarification. Motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention. Next, we have number 7, determination, request for planning commission determination to allow electric vehicle rental up to 25 miles per hour maximum speed by land use permit in the central business district zone. Staff report, please.
Thank you very much. We have an application and a request by Gem Reynolds that the commission make a determination to see if their proposal for electric vehicle rentals is similar in use to the city's ability to provide for a bicycle rental in the central business district. In front of you, I have provided a copy of the central business district zone's intent, section A and B of the zoning ordinance 920900, which identifies the intent of the central business district zone. The zone is to serve primarily retail business and character with related hotels, multifamily dwellings and service, office, cultural, and institutional uses. It's intended to be a compact, lively, active, intensely used area catering to the pedestrian. Planted walkways and other types of pedestrian amenities are also included in the zone. In looking at this use, we've had some difficulty trying to find the right place for it. Clearly, it's a more modern use, electrical vehicle rental, and it does not fit neatly into any of the other categories. The applicant is identifying this use as being similar in function to bicycle rentals, and I will open the zoning map to show you where the central business district zone is. For the most part, the central business district zone is bound by Ramon Road on the south, Indian Canyon on the east, Alejo on the north, and Bellardo Road on the west. Now, there are two parcels which are exceptions to this rule. North of Alejo Road, the first two parcels on the west side of Palm Canyon Drive are also zoned CBD. So it essentially goes up to the alignment of Grand Via Valmonte across from Stevens Park on the west side. But by and large, Central Business District is the area that you refer to as a downtown. The applicant is present and would like to answer any questions that you may have for him.
Thank you, Alex. Are there any questions of staff before we invite the applicant to speak? Seeing none, anybody that wishes to address us on this matter, please come forward at this time. Give us your name, sign the clipboard before you leave.
Good afternoon, I'm Jake Stam with Gem Rentals, and the proposal, I believe most of it was said. What's maybe very important to know is that those vehicles are only legal on streets posted 35 miles an hour or less, which will put the ability of driving those vehicles right into the state areas, because that goes from Ramon Road to Alejo. So that is the only area you can legally, on the main street, drive those vehicles. As you pass Alejo, you go up to 40 miles an hour. As you go south on Palm Canyon, you reach just about Sunny Dunes. It will also go up to 40 miles an hour. I have to say that we have started that business in conjunction with a hotel at the Travelodge in South Palm Springs before. We were very unsuccessful. It was very hard to get people to rent those vehicles from that further location and bring the cars very complicated to the downtown area, which included driving across a pedestrian bridge down by Riverside. Very tight. We started a little jewelry store in connection with that in the downtown area and put a few flyers out right in that location where we're proposing to go into with a Gem Rental, and we had immediate response from pedestrians walking by. We would love to rent those. So that's all I have to say.
Are there any questions of the applicant? Sir, can you give us the location of the proposed place of business?
The location would be at 301 North Palm Canyon Drive, maybe better known as the Cornerstone Building. And we will be working out of a little vending booth in there, so it's not really a big store. It's a fairly small location with plenty of parking behind the structure. The size of the vehicles itself, we are easily able to put 2 vehicles in 1 parking space. That's all we need on site.
And will there be, do you think there'll be adequate space in the parking lot to have vehicles for rental? Is that where you're going to store them?
Well, like I say, in our lease contract, we are renting 1 parking space, which is on the property itself, and we are able to put 2 of those vehicles in 1 parking space. Now, we are driving those vehicles down there. We had some cases of vandalism. That's a wide open vehicle. It's like a bicycle you could take away, weighs a few hundred pounds, so they will never be stored overnight for own security reasons right there. So we take them there in the morning, rent them in the daytime, and take them back home at night.
But you're going to be renting more than just 2 vehicles.
Well, we have 2 vehicles there, and because of charging capabilities, we have to actually exchange the vehicles once they went out for a rental of maybe 4 hours. So we go back, we take a charged vehicle, I have 2 of them parked on my personal property, and bring them down. We live fairly close to it. It's not going to be a long-term solution. We are talking to Mr. Westman in the future regarding the parking underneath the Hyatt to maybe get a couple of spaces in there, which could possibly be a little more secured than the open space on Palm Canyon.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, Ms. Conrad?
I passed by there yesterday, and there were 2 of them parked on Amado on the street. And I wonder if that's, and not in front of the little kiosk. That I imagine that you're talking about the little kiosk that used to be the newspaper
Correct.
and magazine rack, but they were parked in front of the Cornerstone on Amado itself. And is that what you imagine you're going to do in the daytime? And
No, yesterday we actually had a meeting at the Hyatt with the general manager. They wanted us to show them the vehicles. So we parked them there, and then later we had a function at the museum where we carried about 100 people up to the O'Donnell house with those cars. That's why we had 2 of them parked there. In general,
wasn't
they're
there, I
behind.
don't know. Whoops. I just saw him parked there.
Mr.
But
Schoenberg?
which in basic is legal. There are cars on the street, but for business purposes, the idea is not having them displayed on the street.
Mr. Schoenberger?
What are these vehicles?
It's
What do they look like?
technically it's a Mercedes. It's a global electric motor car, Jam. It's a 4-seater all-electric vehicle with a maximum range of 25 miles in distance.
Are they like the vehicles we have out in front?
Well, we've got two different type of electric vehicles. The 4-seater that's open is exactly the same type of vehicle. The 2-seater that's closed is a different vehicle.
Okay,
So they're
yeah.
the same thing we use around City Hall.
All right. And I remember we had a application a year or so or more ago for some motorbikes, and we thought they were a safety hazard, and unless my memory is playing tricks on me. But we have no safety concerns about these vehicles?
No, as a community, we're probably as aggressive as any municipality around to encourage EVs. We've purchased them. We've really made a shift in our fleet relative to using these types of vehicles, and the more we have them about town, I think it's a great statement for the community. And these are, you have to be a licensed driver, so basically the only difference is you're driving something without a lot of oomph, and you have restrictions where you drive them.
Ms. Conrad?
I think the reason that we objected last year was because those motorbikes or motorized bicycles were going to get dropped off at different locations, and they were going to be taken on like flatbed trucks and dropped off at different hotels, and they didn't have a central location where they were going to be rented from. They were just going to be a call-in and get it dropped off at your hotel, and I think that was the big difference for me, at least.
And we're very comfortable that under a land use permit, we could structure a permit that would work at this particular location, and then there's other locations that, if this is successful, I think they would probably grow out of this location.
That was the question I had was, can you control it under a land use permit, and you think so? Because clearly it would be better to have them stored at the parking ramp than too many of them at the.
Yeah. Well, I think the key issue is that, they do use the vehicles for going back and forth to their place of business, as well as the fact that they're not going to store them overnight. We have to keep ours locked up or they walk away.
Ms. Morantz?
And are they, I don't know if I've ever seen, maybe I have seen them before, but they're totally licensed, Department of Motor Vehicles,
Yes.
et cetera?
They comply with all federal safety standards, and they are licensed on the street. They have a regular license plate. They have a very high insurance, as a matter of fact. They have seat belts, headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn lights. It's just a regular car with a very limited ability to speed around in town.
Well,
A lot more sophisticated than a golf cart.
Is there something that maybe we can have some better wording, because electric vehicle, if we allow by land use permit to allow electric vehicle rental, are we maybe not creating a problem for ourselves where somebody says, well, that's a golf cart, that's a electric bicycle, that's a, is there a way we can describe these things more accurately or more specifically so we don't open up a can of worms for ourselves?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what we'll do is we'll put in electric vehicle rental, parentheses, 25-mile-an-hour vehicles that are registered and licensed. And we'll put the provisions in under the state law, so it's very clear.
Okay, all right, then with that, I'm fine with it.
You want to move it?
I'll make a motion to allow electric vehicle rental by land use permit in the CBD zone with a description of the electric vehicle as we discussed, so that it's a licensed vehicle, 25 miles per hour speed, maximum speed, et cetera.
Thank you, Mr. Schoenberger. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Matthews. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Good luck, sir. All right, it's now past 2 o'clock. Back to our public hearing items. Agenda item number 3, I have a conflict of interest on this in that I represent the neighboring property owner. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Schoenberger to chair the meeting.
We'll call case number 6.468, application by John Westman for a variance to allow a carport and garage within 3 feet of an interior side property line of a residence located at 360 Pablo Drive, R1A Zone, Section 15. This is a matter continued from the meeting of March 26, 2003. Do we have a staff report on that matter?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman and respected members of the commission, this is an application for a variance to a side interior lot setback. And first, I'd like to locate the property in case you're not familiar with it. It is north of Ramon Road, south of Baristo, basically accessed off of Monte Vista and Santa Rosa Drive, west of the Palm Canyon, and east of Potencio. And this is the tax lot here. It is adjacent, it's an R1A zoning designated property, and all the adjacent properties are R1A, and they're all built out as single-family homes. The lot size is 10,890 square feet. Consequently, it's substandard to the R1A zoning criteria, which requires a 20,000 square foot lot, and it's also substandard on lot width, which is an important factor in this particular determination. It's 28 feet less than the minimum required lot width. It's developed with a single-family home, an existing single-family home of 2,692 square feet. The applicant's request for a variance allows a single-car garage and a trellised carport structure to be built upon the site. As you can see, it doesn't have any type of covered parking at this time. The photos document, this is it. This would be where it's going.
That's not a garage back there?
Nope.
What is it?
There is that's a carport? Oh, I didn't know. Okay, that's a carport. The structure would be located 3 feet from the property line. So it's quite tight. You can see, though, I did a field survey there in regards to these properties, and basically most of these are built out to very close to property lines. Can't comment on whether those adjacent structures were built legally or illegally, but we do have that characteristic in the neighborhood is very, very common. After a departmental review, we did uncover one very significant fact in regards to this. There's a 5-foot utility easement along that south interior property line. And it was recorded in 1936. So we asked the applicant to please provide us with information in regards to that easement, if, in fact, there were any utilities existing within the easement at this time, and if the possibility would be there to vacate the easement, and every utility company would be comfortable with that. And that's why we continued until this particular commission hearing, because they gave the applicant some time to do that. And I have all the letters, and I certainly can pass them out, but they received letters from Edison, Verizon, Desert Water, Time Warner Cable, the gas company, and Riverside County Flood Control, all with the fact that there were no existing utilities in the easement, and they were very comfortable with the vacation of the easement. So consequently, an engineering condition that we have included as a condition of approval, that the applicant shall gain city council approval for the vacation of the easement, would be a condition of this particular variance. And that concludes my staff report. Thank you.
Any questions of the staff?
I have a question, yeah. I don't know who can answer this, Doug or whatever. I am under the impression, or have been under the impression, that shouldn't a garage be contiguous or attached to a house, or this is, because this looks like it's a freestanding unit, is that correct?
That's an excellent point. That's a good point. I believe that the way, if you look at the diagram, that the trellis structure would be physically attached.
Okay.
That would be the carport. And when I look at the roof structure, I don't see connectivity
I
there.
don't either. That's why I'm asking.
That's a good point.
Well, we'll do a quick check, and in two of our zoning classifications, detached garages are fine. So let me do a real quick check on
Okay,
the
and
code
I'm
for you.
only saying it because I overheard the discussion at Design Review on Monday about a garage being unattached, so.
Yeah, in the R1A zone, detached garages are permitted.
Are they? Okay.
And the carport continues on there, the illegal car, so you want to authorize the carport as well here, or?
No, the carport's gonna get torn down.
Not according to these drawings.
Trellis carport.
Or the trellis, the covered thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm
the old
thinking of-
carport in the back will be torn
Gone
down.
and
It's
replaced with a
very substandard.
Yeah,
yeah.
and replaced with a covered trellis. That's not a carport.
Yeah, no, the actual
Labeled as a carport.
the carport is way back in that corner, so it comes out for that covered carport. And then the
Well-
trellis is out in front of it.
And the reason I call it carport, and on that drawing, it's labeled as a carport, but it is a trellis type structure, and that's okay.
Yep.
And I don't object, I think it looks great.
Just for clarification, the variance here is with respect to the side yard setback requirement, right?
That's correct.
All right, and that setback would be what in that zone?
Should be 10 feet.
Okay, and we're not running into a building code violation by having only a 3-foot setback, so, I mean, we're otherwise okay, except for the 10-foot side yard setback that would otherwise be required for this zone.
That's correct. Building has commented that, and has seen these plans, and they're comfortable with the plans, and they will be required, obviously, to go through a building code check, et cetera.
And staff is comfortable that the necessary findings exist for the variance.
Yes, we are, Mr. Chairman.
Right. This is a public hearing item. Is there anybody here who wants to speak on this item? See, oops. If you'd give us your name, please, and your address, and then also sign in on the clipboard, please.
Okay. My name is Martha Higgins. I work for John Westman, and my address is 2795 East Via Escuela, Palm Springs. The only reason I thought I'd stand up is I did not speak to him directly, but Mr. Westman did have meetings with the neighbor, and the neighbor was very much in favor of this. So I just wanted you to know that the neighbor directly affected is in favor.
Thank you for your
That was
comments. Anyone else? Back to the commission.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I would move that the Planning Commission grant the variance at the residence located at 360 Pablo Drive.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the application. We don't need a roll call vote on this, do we, or do we?
Yes, we do.
A roll call vote then.
Ms. Conrad? Aye. Ms. Morantz?
Aye.
Mr. Matthews.
Aye.
Mr. Grinch.
Aye.
Mr. Schoenberg.
Aye. So that's approved 5-0. One abstention? Two abstentions.
Mr.
Well,
I'll abstain because I missed the public hearing.
Okay, you can come back now.
yeah, how do you know? Oh, he's watching on TV.
Oh, I didn't want to lose the reins of leadership.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Schoenberger. Nice to see you. Next item on the agenda is number 4, case 5.0949, application by Scott Cullens of Jacques Wrigley Management for approval to sell retail alcoholic beverages in the industrial zone at 820 Research Drive. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman and respected members of the commission, this application is, I'm going to outline again just where this is in case you're not familiar with this. It's on Research Drive, which is really right off of Farrell. DMV is north here. The airport is adjacent on the east. The zoning designations in regards to the adjacent properties are consistently M1P with the airport zoning designation to the east. There is a neighborhood across the street, R1C zoning designation. When I say across the street, I mean Farrell Drive, and I will address some concerns and some comments I've had from the neighbors as I proceed through my report. It's a this is 820 Research Drive, number 11 and 12, right here. It's a multi-tenant warehouse and office complex it's only been, I don't know when it was final, but it's very new. It's been within the last year or so. There are, at this time, 2 occupants. One is a smog control or smog station. They've gone before you as for a conditional use permit approval and had received that. Another is an allowed use within the zone is a cabinetry shop. And there is another proposed conditional use permit that's we've received the application for just within the last 2 weeks, and it's an unusual one that will be coming before you in another few weeks in regards to a church warehousing kind of use. I will interject at this time that I have contacted the alcoholic beverage control department here in regards to the church adjacent to a retail sales. And that is not a legal issue that they have any concerns with, nor have they received, and this particular person that's proposing to be here does recognize and know that this is a proposed use next door. But there were no concerns issued during the comment time for the liquor licensor for ABC either. So that said, just to kind of clear that up. Basically, the warehouse complex occupies 2 acres. The applicant intends to use his premises is approximately 2,700 square feet of warehousing space, 1,100 square feet of office space, and only 377 square feet of retail space. The retail space is this very small vestibule space. This is an actual interior design. I know it's small, but that will give you actually the very best look at what the proposal is. Warehousing with coolers and lots of storage space back here, office, and a 377 square foot retail space. Okay. The crux of this is the intent. The intent is to allow the use of retail sales of alcohol in a manufacturing zone. It is allowable by code. We go back through any use permitted in C1, et cetera, with conditional use permit. So the client or the applicant is required by ABC for his type of licensure to have a retail space. Can't just have the warehousing component, you have to have an actual retail space. It's Rule 27 of the California Code of Regulations for State Alcoholic Beverage Control. He's applying for a Class 21 license, off-sale beer and wine, and the specifics require display of alcoholic beverages and general public storefront, which means retail. That he would not be able to receive a license to distribute these alcohol or off-site from a warehousing component without having that particular type of licensure. His business that he intends to proceed, I think whether he even gets this approval or not, would represent many other products, not just alcoholic beverages, that he would deliver to hotel, resort situations on call. The business name is Room Services, and that says it all. He will get a 24-hour phone line, incoming calls, have catalogs placed at a lot of the resorts, and give him a call, and he delivers everything from food, prepackaged type food items to shampoo, I suppose, if you'd like that. But that and the alcohol is a component, but it certainly isn't a primary component of his business plan. Let's see. He expects basically 5% of the sales would be over the counter at the most. The only product for sale in the retail, that little retail vestibule, will be the alcohol, because he's required by California law to have that if he receives this permission. There will be no retail sales on site from 1:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah, but he will have and the doors will be locked and closed. But the crux of his business is a 24-hour service from the warehousing component. So there will be people there. He's very concerned with security and the ability to close that off and not have any access to the retail space. The police have been a very important component in my review. I've had numerous conversations with the police department here, and their conclusion was they did not see any significant impact on the department, the patrol, or residential neighbors, and did not object to this use. Fire has also had an important part in this, because it is a warehouse. We're changing some of warehouse use to public access, etc., and they've required sprinkling under the drop ceilings, etc., and those are listed as conditions of approval in the staff report. Lastly, I've had three public questions in regards to this. I've had two neighbors. They were interested in understanding about signage and, of course, the general aspect of the business. And they were also concerned about the hours of operation. So consequently, in the conditions of approval, we've addressed both of those. Signage it's already under a signage program, so it'll be very, very concise and spelled out, just one sign on the business. And hours of operation, we've made a condition of approval if there's absolutely any changes in the hours of operation that we have to go through a review process to be able to do that. The applicant would have to. The last concern was just an adjacent landowner that owns actually the DMV property and quite a bit of the property there, and he just wanted to really know what was kind of going on, and I don't think he really had any specific comments. It was just a general inquiry. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing item. Anybody wishing to address the commission, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Back to commissioners. Questions, comments, motions? Yes, Ms. Conrad?
What will be the smallest unit of sale for the retail department? Like, could someone walk in there and buy one beer? Or would it really be people that are buying cases or larger quantities of things? So it's really not intended to be a retail sales outlet. It's not like a convenience store.
The applicant is here, and I would request that he respond to some of these specific questions about his business. Mr. Collins, could you come up, please?
So you thought you were going to hide, not have to make them.
In fact, the whole reason I came was if there were questions.
You would give us your name, please, and sign the clipboard before you leave?
I've actually never been in here before. It looks like the UN.
And,
We agree with that.
I heard that. Did you want me to address that question in particular?
yes, if
No,
you
it
start with
is-
your name, please.
Oh, Scott Collins.
Thank you.
No, it's bulk sales. I've been coming out to the desert probably for about 12 years for vacation, and I love all the little resorts, but with less than 50 rooms, because I assume most of them were apartment buildings back in the 50s or 60s, the ops costs involved in providing room services would be ridiculous. They couldn't do it, and I don't expect for them to. So I usually would stay at one of the larger hotels, or I'd even stay out at the Ritz-Carlton or the Lodge now. Because when I'm on vacation, I don't want to go to the store and buy things that I need. I can do that at home. So I kind of like that amenity. And it just seemed to me with several hundred properties out here, hotel properties, why someone didn't centralize it to begin with, because they all share common fences. That was the initial idea. And then as we did the research, it just kind of snowballed. The resorts a lot of the owners are going all the way out to Costco to buy their paper products every week. We'll supply those. Some of the resorts are more townhomes or timeshares, and so they've asked us if we'll stock the refrigerators for the guests prior to them arriving. So actually, what started out as our focus for our biggest profit center ends up being our smallest profit center. And in a long roundabout way, no, someone cannot come in and just buy a beer. In fact, we don't really want a retail front. I mean, it's obvious why we have to do this. I would prefer not to, especially back there. We're really concerned about the security. Liquor stores, you hear they get robbed a lot. I don't want to be one of those people. The public cannot even go into the warehouse. You go up to the counter. If you want to purchase the product there, you can at warehouse prices, but you have to do it at a POS machine up there. And then you can go around back and they'll put it in your car, except for liquor. The customer has to put the liquor in their car if that's what they purchased for a party or something. So we don't really want to do sales on site to begin with, but we're kind of bound by this California 27 rule, and I've actually inquired as to why it exists, and I can't get an answer, actually, so I just have to nod and say, okay, I'll do what you want.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Schoenberger.
I'm reading this thing, it says beer and wine. Are you also proposing to sell hard liquor through this retail outlet?
It's interesting. We're just a couple of little guys that came out here to start this business, and we've already been contacted by Hyatt and Sheraton because they're a little concerned about their honor bar, that we could come in and kind of take away those sales. So we're negotiating something with them because they can't keep like a Domino's pizza delivery person from a guest, and we're kind of the same way. We're just trying to make the visitors' experience here more pleasurable and easier.
Well, I mean, are you selling hard liquor to?
Well, so what I'm getting at is that what we're doing with them is that we're not going to actually try to solicit directly into the hotel. So we're going to provide probably their bar services to them. We were just going to do the beer and wine. Now with that on the table, like I said, this has been snowballing. We'll probably go ahead and try to get the full license in September is when that comes up. But right now, we're just going to stick with the beer and wine.
The other confusing thing to me was who are your customers? Are they hotel guests or the hotels themselves?
Both. So in each hotel, there will be a tent card, And it's up to the hotel if they want. We pay for the printing. If they want their logo on it, we will pay for it. So the phones will be forwarded. You hit 77 on the phone, it forwards to us. So I don't really care whether they think the hotel's doing the room service or we're doing it, as long as the customer gets what they need.
What does it say on your sign?
Just room services, that's all.
Pardon me?
Just room services.
All right, I mean, that's all the sign says. The sign doesn't say, you know, buy your beer and wine here and.
No. We do by law have to provide signage in the windows for certain things, saying that there is alcohol on the premises, that it can cause birth defects, things like that that are required. But those will be the only signs, and they're only 8.5 by 11.
May I interject? I believe that given the sign program that exists for that particular multi-tenant complex, that it's very restrictive, and we would be reviewing that again, even with his room services, the name of his business across the front. And that was a concern that neighbors did have. Would there be like drive in here? And it's no. When we will have the opportunity to review that.
Very good. Just to interrupt, and I think we should have done this before. If there's no further comment from the public, we'll close the public hearing. And now back to commission for further questions. Mr. Caffrey.
Unless there's any other questions, I'm just ready to go. I'd just move approval of case 5.0949, subject to the conditions in the staff report.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Grinch, motion by Mr. Caffrey. Any further comment? Roll call vote, please, Michelle.
Ms. Conrad.
Aye.
Ms. Morantz.
Aye.
Mr. Matthews.
Aye.
Mr. Grinch.
Aye.
Mr. Schoenberger.
Aye.
Mr. Caffrey.
Aye.
Mr. Klatchko.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Good luck to you, sir. Next, we have, jump down to number 8, Commission Work Program. Mr. Evans?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We've started our general plan update process. I'm scheduling meetings. I've already spoken at Main Street about the general plan. I've spoken at the Building Industry Association, Legislative Affairs Committee about that. We're going to get representatives from both groups to participate. Joy Meredith from downtown is going to participate. And Ed Kibbe with the Building Industry Association is getting me a representative, and we're just missing phone calls. After my Main Street presentation, I got 2 calls from community groups to invite me to come speak. Chamber of Commerce asked that I come down and talk to them, as well as one of our local real estate firms. So, you know, we're out on the road, we're formatting things, and you know, we're going to start getting that public input. I'm also pleased to report that we have the contract worked out for our first phase of our GIS system, which will be a digital mapping program for general plan, zoning, and circulation, as well as tying our database back to a GIS program. And the one thing that I think you'll see, you won't see those fuzzy maps anymore once we do this, and we're probably going to link it back into an aerial photography service, so we can also have aerial photographs that aren't those fuzzy blueprints that we bring in here all the time. Kind of looking forward to getting into the current century with regards to graphics. And it's a focused GIS program, really with 4 products to start with. If the contractor performs, then we'll consider doing a full GIS program for the general plan. But we were very cautious in being conservative, because we know of many communities that started GIS programs only to find that you could never finish because there was just too much work that went into them. So we defined this one with a short scope of work. And we're kind of lucky we've got the existing database that's going to tie in. And while we're contracting for 4 maps, essentially we'll probably end up with the ability to do a lot more with the system, because we've got a database that's compatible. So we're pleased with that. And once we do that, we can network with the tribe and their services with CVAG and really start to build a GIS program that Again, we're real tired of hand-drawing general plan and zoning maps. We don't know too many communities that are still doing that. Larry's working real hard in researching, different formats for the general plan update. We're putting together some ideas for questionnaires, both handout questionnaires that we'll use as we meet with community groups, as well as some questions that we can put on the website so that we can have an interactive type situation. And we're very close to having the general plan up on the website so people can look at it. In addition, we're printing up a whole bunch of them for loaner copies, so as we go out in the communities for people that aren't comfortable with the internet or don't have internet services, we can basically loan copies of the general plan out, and that way people don't have to invest in buying a copy if they want to look at it. We've met with the Historic Site Preservation Board twice to go over their issues. We're going to be on the Parks and Rec Commission. So we're going down the road. There's not much for the commission to do yet. The general plan process has a startup period, a research period, a policy period, an adoption period, and we're still in the startup period. Our hope is to define what the community interest is in the general plan, define the scope of work before we hire consultants who will bill $20,000+ a month no matter what they do once we hire them. So we want to be very careful that we have a defined program. With the current budget, I've been asked to try to take a hard look at the potential budget. We estimated the budget at $400,000 for the general plan update and environmental documents. We have $250,000 allocated and in the account ready to go. I think if we can tailor the general plan update, be a little bit more surgical before we hire consultants, we probably can do it a bit more cost-effective. Traffic analysis is probably going to be somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000 alone when you get into modeling. So somewhere down the road, we'll come back to the Planning Commission and say, here are the alternatives for traffic. We all have to agree upon the questions, because once we say run it, every time you go back and do it again, they're going to ding us for a pretty good change. So we'll have to get some models. And I think one of the key areas this time around in the general plan is not going to be the major east-west, north-south major thoroughfares. It's going to be the secondaries, the collectors, and the locals. And the engineering section's been working on traffic calming all over town. And, I think we're going to find that that's really going to be one of the key community issues as we meet with neighborhood groups. Mr. Chairman, that is an update on what we're doing. And, we're quite excited. It's kind of fun to start thinking about futures. I went to a conference a while back and listened to futurists talk and speak about community planning, not 10 years out, not 20 years out, but 50 years out. And while that might be a bit beyond our objectives, it's fun to start thinking in terms of where do we want to be in 20 years, as opposed to what's on the agenda today for approvals and commission actions.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Under this same agenda item, we do have the City Council Cabinet meeting. That took place last night, Tuesday night. I attended standard type of council cabinet meeting. I would say that I emphasize the level of development that's going on in the city, and the other commission chairs and the city council seem to be impressed and surprised at the high level of development that's going on. Mr. Evans had placed some drawings up on the wall and kind of walked the council and cabinet through developments that are in progress or commencing right now. And there was a lot of interest in that. And I've already heard from members of the public that watched on TV that were also surprised at just the amount of activity. One item that did come up was the budget and the severe financial situation. Brought it to their attention that we'd lost assistant planner and that there's a hiring freeze, and wondered whether there'd be some type of exception in that type of case, because there was going to be an effect on our ability to serve the public. Mr. Reddy pointed out that this had not been a position that was targeted for removal, although some of the staff have been targeted and released, but that there had been just a career change involved, and it is subject to the freeze. So at least for the short term, and as the mayor may want to contribute for the long term, we're just going to have to make do with shorter staff. Next item on the agenda is City Council actions update. Yes, Mr.
Chairman?
Evans. Yes.
Yeah, I have two more updates with regards to commission work program.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just so you know, Sky Warden was our assistant planner, and she did a phenomenal job. And one of the things she did was she organized her files for signs and land use permits, and she was very, very organized and left us in much better shape than before she came to work for us. The area that we are going to be challenged, and I'm going to be very upfront with you because it's going to hurt us. We're going to be challenged issuing sign permits. We're going to be challenged with some of the fast turnaround land use permits, particularly downtown businesses. And then some of the miscellaneous approvals, minor architectural approvals and the like. Our rotation for planner of the day, and that's the person that works at the counter and takes all the miscellaneous phone calls that come in. We'll have one less person in the rotation, and I can tell you some days the planner of the day stays they're on their feet all day at the counter, and then at the end of the day they have 20 plus phone calls to start returning the next morning, which means they're affected 2 days, not 1 day. Our work program is set up that you work 1 day on the counter and you do the rest of your work the next day. We were already taxed before this position became vacant, and clearly we're going to struggle. We can't hide it. People will have to wait longer for turnaround on phone calls. The one thing we will do our best to do is try to keep things moving to the Planning Commission on schedule, but the balance of that is the day-to-day customers, the 5,000 people that stand at our counter in the course of a year may have a little bit longer wait, and the staff members are going to be tired. And I've been through this cycle before, and I'll tell you, this is how we lose other staff members. If it becomes unbearable to work, people start looking. And we've got very, very good people. And when you get into a cycle, if you lose one, you're likely to lose more if we're not real careful. And I'm going to have the same candid conversations every place I go. We've been through cycles where one position results in 3 vacancies because people work harder in Palm Springs than in most communities they've ever worked in, if not all the communities they've worked in, and we've had people that have worked in multiple communities. So
Mr.
from a
Chairman,
work program standpoint, we're going to be challenged. We're very respectful of the budget constraints and the fact that other departments, and some of them are taking more than one hit in either potential layoffs because of the budget or frozen positions, and clearly respectful of the fact that the life safety workers in our community are going to be working longer hours, and they already work long shifts. But it will affect customer service. We've got a good, hard-working crew, but they're tired right now, and with one vacancy, they're going to get very tired.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Mr. Schoenberg, you had a comment?
Just a quick comment. If that position was not scheduled for elimination, why can't we save it?
Well, the position is not slated to be eliminated. What the city manager has done is frozen hiring, and it's a very common strategy for cost savings mid-year to basically freeze positions for a period of time and pick up that salary savings. And, with the 500 plus or minus employees, a city like this with just holding positions open for 30 and 60 days, it's a substantial sum of money at the end of the year. The other issue is we know that today it's a 4.2 in its moving target as far as what we're going to probably come up short on for next year. That does not take into account what the state is going to do. It's not a matter of if, it's when and what. They may not do that until September, October, November. So I think the city manager, as well as the council, just has to take a very conservative role. We've operated with vacancies before. I'm just very concerned that it wasn't healthy before organizationally, and it certainly wasn't something that added to our customer service at a time where, Commissioner Schoenberger, you've devoted 5 months to talking about customer service with a task force. This is going to make it more challenging. I think we've got a good crew. The person that's going to pick up, and we're going to shift the stuff from Sky's desk to another person's desk, Gabriel Diaz. Gabriel is great at customer service, gets lots of compliments, and he has been backing up the signs for his tenure with the city. He's our backup person, so he's coming in with some experience. But it's hard when if you take a look at the existing projects he has, it's over a page, almost single spaced, and then you add another page and a half, and then you start reassigning things. We've got a lot of stuff going on, as you well know.
Just to indicate that at the cabinet meeting, other departments have similar problems. The president of the library board indicated that the librarian is retiring, and they're in the process of doing an extensive nationwide recruiting effort that may be interrupted by this. He brought it to the attention of the council that this is a chartered position, as he put it, and I don't know the legal ramifications, but obviously there was a lot of concern that they couldn't operate the library without a librarian. So it's not just the planning department. I guess it's all the way across the board.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
One more item on work program. This is going to be your most favorite item. I need to talk to the commission about Section 14. So we need to state abstentions, and a few people have to leave the room.
All right. And can I just inquire, will Section 14, the master plan, be something that's on the agenda this afternoon at the study session, or is that strictly going to be limited to the convention center?
Strictly the convention center, and we have to draw straws for the convention center.
Okay. Well, then, with regard to Section 14, the people that participate on that are Ms. Conrad, Mr. Schoenberger, Mr. Caffrey, and myself. And if the other three would please step out of the room for a moment.
Before you do that,
Yes, sir.
we have to draw straws for the person at 4 o'clock. If we could do that now, then those of us who have to come anyways could leave and come back at 4 o'clock and not wait till you're done.
Yeah, if we could do that, maybe, I don't think the Section 14 discussion is going to be very long.
All right.
And then we can do that, and while we're doing Section 14, I'll start chopping up paper for drawing lots again.
We'll come get you in just a minute. Thank you. All right, Mr. Evans, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We handed out Larry's summary of what he recalls and what I recall the primary concerns of the Planning Commission were. This information is put together for the commission discussion next Wednesday, and that meeting is the 16th, at what time? Yeah, the 16th at 11:30. That's with the Tribal Planning Commission here at City Hall. And the only reason I wanted to bring this up was just to remind the commission that we're having that meeting, to the time of the meeting, and then see if the commission members have any things you'd like to add to this. To be fair and not surprise the tribal staff and the like, we did transmit this information to them so that they have an opportunity to get back up to speed. They haven't been actively reviewing the Section 14 master plan, so it gives them a chance to do a little bit of research. Mr. Chairman, that's my update this afternoon, and we'll certainly try to answer any questions.
One thing I noticed that doesn't seem like it was called out, but we just, on number 11, you talk about the circulation standards and guidelines. One item that we did discuss had to do with, I think it's Alvarado, that's the street that's next, that connects Palm Canyon to what will be the new entrance to the convention center, was one particular item in the circulation that we talked about, in addition to, I think you covered one other item here. But that was just one that caught my eye. Anybody else have a recollection of something that's not
I agree with you.
there?
I thought we not only talked about Calle and Celia, but we talked about Calle El Segundo and then Andreas Canyon, like the
Right, there were
whole
three or four specific items, that's right.
And that, the Andreas is around the casino area?
Well, the whole way from Indian Canyon to the convention center, we thought that was an issue. that's gonna be a
Right.
walking
How all
corridor.
that was gonna be handled.
Okay.
But yeah, the north-south corridors were not just in Celia, there's El Segundo too.
And it's, we're scheduling now for 11:30,
Yes, sir.
and where will that be located specifically?
Our conference room here at City
That'll
Hall.
be here at the conference room,
Yes.
because at one time, I think you said it was gonna be at the tribal,
It's moved a couple of times, but at this point is here, and it's been noticed as being here.
okay.
That's next Wednesday, correct?
Yes, sir. We'll try to keep it fairly focused, and move through it, and, by giving them the information in advance, it should make it a bit easier, and, Larry's been working with the tribal staff, and I don't think there are gonna be many surprises from their perspective, and
Did you fax us on that?
Could
Are you going
Michelle
to?
call us on Tuesday?
we'll make the
I think
calls.
that's unreasonable.
Okay. Mr.
We'll be
Chairman, certainly anything else, as you look at this, if you'd like to add things, what we'll do is we'll keep this as a working document, and then we'll bring another outline to the meeting, and that way we can all work off of the same document. And, it's, I've kind of looked at this as it's a very unique and special time to meet with the two planning commissions. The two councils meet quarterly. The two commissions have not, and I do believe in the future the tribal and city land use and decision-making process needs to work probably closer together than it ever has.
Very good. Then if we can call our rest of our commissioners back in, that'd be great.
We get to make history.
History.
I don't think we've ever done this.
And
I
who's
didn't ask
supplying
Tom.
lunch? Who's
I-
supplying lunch? The tribe or the city?
I think they're bringing lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that a step up? They have a bigger budget? Is that it?
Well, they own a restaurant. They're a unique government. They have government services that most government agencies don't have. Mr. Chairman, well, no, we're without a quorum.
We're
We need to
without a
take a
quorum,
break,
but
Mr. Chairman.
Um,
Just a quick break.
Sure, okay. We'll take a 5-minute recess. Thank you. We're back in session. Mr. Evans.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that completes our updates on the work program. Under City Council updates, this evening, the council is going to get an update on the business operation at the city's golf courses. They're going to talk about solid waste franchise, better known as fees for trash disposal. And they're also going to discuss proclamations, recognition procedures, and that has to do with what types of proclamations and other things the council does, and how does one get something nominated. So it's a pretty quiet planning night, and I might go 2 weeks in a row with not having to say anything at a council meeting, which will
You
be
have our permission to
surprising.
go home early, but,
Yeah, well, I might tonight. I'm not sure I need to stay for the trash discussions.
next item is commission staff reports requests. Mr. Evans, would you like to go first?
Yes, I did give you an update on the meeting next Wednesday for lunch. So this is your second reminder today, and we'll just keep doing it. With regards, just a very quick update, and it's not a discussion item. We did take the Indian Canyons Hotel to design review on Monday, and architecture was reviewed by architects, and they were very supportive with the concept of the building design as very strong architecture. So no discussion, just giving you a quick report. That completes staff's updates, Mr. Chairman, and under item 11, before we adjourn, since the special study session is on your agenda, we'd like to draw straws, and I'll explain that procedure when we get to that item.
All right, is there any commission reports or requests? Ms. Morantz?
Yeah, I have one request. At the Travelodge at South and East, isn't there some policy that was put in place for them to have the type of sign they have, so that it doesn't say housekeeping positions available for the last 5 days, and it just changed today?
We'll call the
Because
manager.
that's a pretty prominent area. You took the job? Good, okay. It has changed today, but
I'm
for
surprised
the
the owner
entire
wasn't-
weekend, it was
wasn't a
up.
bit more clever in asking that on the sign, but
No, it
you know,
just said
and
housekeeping
traditionally it's
positions available.
a very community-oriented sign with
Okay.
some humor. So we'll talk to the
Right.
owner.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Schoenberger?
Doug, I don't know if you can do anything about it, or if we can do, anybody can do anything about it, but the signal cycle at Sunrise and 111 is really screwed up. If you are going north on Sunrise and you want to cross 111, the way they have that signal set up is that sometimes it allows only 2 or 3 cars to go through, and then it changes. And there's something wrong with it. It's gone haywire, and it's really a nuisance for those of us who have to travel that route all the time.
Well, we're in the process of synchronizing signals on East Palm Canyon Drive and North Palm Canyon and South Palm Canyon. We're working on a couple of other streets. The traffic engineering section is out there working on the sequencing. So in all likelihood, what you have, since they're trying to get everything to sequence so that the Palm Canyon Drive traffic has priority, they're probably in the balancing process. We'll let them know.
If you would, because it's out of whack. And
We get comments like that, and when we talk to the city engineer about it, a lot of it right now is just getting all the software to mesh and debug the programs. You know, and again, during the daytime, the Highway 111 or East Palm Canyon Drive traffic is going to have the priority, and the north-south going across that intersection is going to be secondary. And the idea on those major roadways is to try to keep the bulk of the cars moving.
I understand that. I'm not asking for priority
Yeah,
on the north-south.
understand.
But just to get a few cars across there without having it. I mean, when you're in line and you wait a full cycle and you don't get through the next cycle, then that gets to be, you know.
I did it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I'm just trying to tell you, I think what I'm going to be told is it's a matter of debugging the system as opposed to something that may be out of whack. Because we talked about some downtown signals. When the traffic engineer heard about those, he said those are ones we're working on and trying to get the programming right. And they're doing a bunch of signals all at once, so they can't get everywhere. We'll let them know.
Thank you. Ms. Conrad?
Doug, I was wondering if, as a matter of policy or as a condition of approval for sign programs and for signs, if we could include a provision that addresses what happens when they take down an old sign. Because I think there's a lot of examples all over town where an old sign is taken down and the new sign is put up, and the marks on the building and the outline of the old sign are still visible. And I could make you a list of 20 examples, and I won't pick on anybody, but you know, the bolts for the old sign are still there, the sun stain from it, drips down the wall. It's really unsightly. And so when they get a permit for a new one, or if they come in for a sign permit, why can't we just have a condition of approval that you have to repaint the old facade and take out the old hardware, and it would really be nice.
What a good suggestion.
We will take a look at that. They're supposed to do that, and sometimes it's because it's different trades. So the sign company goes in and does their job, they leave. Another trade has to come in and do that patchwork, and it doesn't happen, and sign permits rarely do we get called for final inspections. So what we'll do is we'll talk to Gabe about it, and we'll talk to the CPOs about it, and see if we can't get some of that fixed.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's examples that are years old.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that we could have double the staff working on signs, we'd still be chasing them.
Mr. Caffrey,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Mr. Grentz was ahead of me, but I'll go ahead and take
I
the...
saw you first. so-
Okay. This really has to do with when I'm off the planning commission, but I want to bring it up now because there's development happening that I couldn't speak on the other day, and I'm not going to speak about the development, but I'm going to speak about Murray Canyon still being a major thoroughfare, or a secondary thoroughfare on the general plan, and that's really never going to happen. And we've had this discussion somewhat before, and if it's going to go to a collector, which I think it should eventually, now is the time to look at the north side of Murray Canyon, since that development's going in, as to, we wouldn't need that wide of a street, why not give them some more land? And this is just food for thought, to where we could keep the equestrian trail on this side of the dike, have a bike path, have a sidewalk, have a nice strip there, a very nice amenity for that part of town, and slow the traffic down, since we don't need 4 lanes of traffic there. Just a thought. I just wanted to bring it up. I'm going to, in June or July, start gathering neighborhood input as to what they feel they'd like to see happen to Murray Canyon.
Do you have any response to that at this point, or just something you need to catalog?
It's staff reports and requests.
Very good.
We'll put it on the list of things that we have to look at.
All right. Now, Mr. Grinch.
Doug, probably this would be directed back towards Dave on traffic. I think they were at about 90% successful when they did that Alejo Indian Palm Canyon project. When it gets real awkward as you make the turn onto Alejo, you head west to Palm Canyon, the way the traffic splits. But what happens is if you turn right going northbound, he's got to eliminate the first space that they left. This past weekend in particular, the traffic was lined up probably 20 cars deep north, and a truck one time I went by was parked there, the next time a big classic rolls. It was about a 9-foot lane space. As you make the turn and shoot up, you got about 9 feet to clear the parked car and the southbound traffic. And he's going to have to push that space at least. When I know parking is at a premium up there, they've got to eliminate at least 1 space. It's really bad.
We'll pass that on.
Very good. Any others? All right, then the next item before we adjourn is to draw straws. This is for our study session, which is noticed for 4 p.m. this afternoon concerning the convention center. Commissioners Matthews, Conrad, and Morantz will appear, and the other 4 of us draw straws for quorum purposes only. Is that correct, Mr. Evans?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you could, if you're going to abstain on this item, if you could declare your abstention and state the nature of it.
Mr. Caffrey.
My business is located within the proximity of the convention center.
Mr. Schoenberger.
My place of business is also located within the proximity of the convention center.
Mr. Grinch.
I manage property adjacent to the convention center.
And I represent a client that has property adjacent to the convention center.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. If I could explain this so our members of the audience are clear on this. When we have abstentions on the Planning Commission that lead to The fact we do not have a quorum, which is 4 members of the Planning Commission, state law provides for a procedure to select a commissioner to sit for purposes of the quorum. That commissioner does not participate in the dialogue, discussion, or eventually any voting on this project. They basically sit to make up the 4th Planning Commission slot. What we do is we draw lots. I have 4 pieces of paper. The pieces of paper, 3 of them have no, 1 has yes. The person that receives the yes note gets to stay and participate in the study session. And the most critical thing after today's meeting is from now on, all 4 of these commissioners have to be present to take any action or discussion on the convention center. So when this comes up on calendar, we'll try our best to call you. We do have a planning commission meeting on April 23rd for a public hearing on the convention center. So we do need to have all 4 planning commissioners there on the 23rd, or we have to continue the item to the next meeting. And
What's on the 23rd? This convention center?
convention center.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Is there an opportunity for an alternate if something, we're really, pressure's on, right? If somebody's ill or somebody has to be out of town or.
Most of us are already on section 14.
I don't think, I think that that's not permitted, but keep in
Okay,
mind,
all right.
starting July 1, you may have a different composition and things will change anyway.
Mike's. On the 23rd, I am in Baltimore.
Okay, we will not be able to have the public hearing that date. We may have to have a
Back
special
that
meeting.
night, but I depart Baltimore and I won't be getting until on.
What we'll do is after the meeting, maybe before the study session with the 4 commissioners that will participate, we'll have to check calendars. Because of the schedule on the convention center, we may have to do a special meeting. Yeah. But go ahead and draw the lots, and that way you can get almost an hour back. And
correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Evans, because it's noticed for 4 o'clock, it can't be moved up, and we may have an hour or so. People can leave and come back at 4, but they've got to be there.
Do you have the yes for the colors?
You got the yes? Good. Mr. Grinch has the yes. Open mind just to verify that it's a no.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, just like the lotto.
All right.
Thanks a lot. I would have taken the lotto.
Back here at 4?
At 4 o'clock, Matthews, Conrad, Morantz, and Grinch will reconvene in the large conference room. And with regard to this meeting, we now stand adjourned. Thank you.